Hey, what's up, YouTube family? Now, I'm going to talk about something I'm very excited about. I was doing a research on this, and it's called Puerto Ricans in the Military. And I'm going to start from the very beginning, since the formation of the first military battalion in Puerto Rico. Before I go further, please like and subscribe on the channel, brand new channel. And actually, when you like it, it affects the algorithms of the channel. And that way it will grow and it will be shown to other people. Now, bearing in mind, when I was doing the research of this topic, at first I wanted to cut it down to just one video. I mean, I was actually going to talk about the beginnings of the Puerto Ricans in the military, all the way to World War One, to Korea, Vietnam, and to the present. But then I realized that the video will take anywhere between 1 or 2 hours, and I said, no, no, no way. I don't like to listen or look at a video that long, and I don't expect you to, unless you're the type that like that kind of stuff, like look at webinars and things. I like to keep my videos short. So what I decided to do, I started to break it in segments. I think it'd be each much easier for you, much easier for me, and I think it'll make a little bit more sense. So I'm going to start from the very beginning, and this presentation here is going to go all the way from the beginnings of military in Puerto Rico all the way to the formation of the 65th Infantry just before World War One. Now, to start at the beginning, you have to start the Spanish-American War. In 1898, the United States won the war with Spain, and they took possession of the island. Now, when Spain left, there was a very large crime wave in Puerto Rico, almost complete anarchy. There was assassinations, there was murders, you name it, and it was, you need to control it. So the U.S. War Department established the Department of Puerto Rico, which was headquarters in San Juan. The mission was responsible for all military affairs on the island. Now, the first general that was in charge of the military of the Army, his name was John R. Brooke. Now, I remember when I joined the Army in Puerto Rico, our process before I was sent to Fort Jackson for basic training in South Carolina, um, I had to process to Fort Brooke, which is a very small base in Old San Juan, and is named after this general. He was also not only the first commander of our military in Puerto Rico, he was also the military governor of the island. Now, he only served for a short time, and then they assigned the War Department assigned a new Major General Guy V. Henry of the U.S. Volunteers, replaced Brooke on 9 December of 1898. At that time, this small military force only consisted of 176 officers and 3,000 enlisted men, which also corresponded with a small police force. Now, like I said, after the Spaniards left, Puerto Rico was left in a large crime wave: robbery, assassinations, violence to women. Like I said, almost complete anarchy. So President William McKinley at the time had ordered 100,000 U.S. volunteers out of service and sent back to the U.S. So that left Puerto Rico in dire straits because the U.S. military had completely left. So that's why this small military force was started in Puerto Rico. And this small military force, it also, like I said, they also included a police force of 313. Now, this small police force was sufficient for minor crime activity, but it was not equipped to confront organized gangs and even armed insurrection. So the War Department, instead of sending American troops to restore order, the War Department ordered General Henry to form 4 companies of 100 men each, basically a battalion. Okay, and so as 2 March of 1899, Congress formally authorized the formation of the Puerto Rican Battalion of Volunteer Infantry. That's what it was called. Now, Major Lorenzo P. Davidson became the first commander of that Puerto Rican battalion. He was a graduate of West Point in 1885. He served on frontier duty as a lieutenant with the U.S. 7th Cavalry and 11th Infantry. He fought with the 5th Infantry during the Spanish-American War. So he had war experience. He had leadership experience. Now, on the year 1900, the Army decided again to organize a mounted battalion of a Puerto Rican regiment. So in other words, they needed a battalion on horseback in case something happened on the other side of the island so they could get there quickly. So now we have 2 battalions. And once these 2 battalions were designated the U.S. 5th Infantry. And the 2nd Battalion was stationed at Camp Henry over there in the Cajay region. So now we got 2 battalions. Now by 1 May 1900, the island's garrison had 1,635 officers and enlisted men, and now the police force grew to about 475. Now, almost a year later, 20 May 1901, the War Department directed the existing regiment was replaced and renamed Puerto Rico Provisional Regiment of Infantry. Now they renamed it again. And then on 30 June, a few years later, about 7 years later, 1908, the Puerto Rico Provisional Regiment of Infantry became part of the regular army. Now, bear in mind, even though the War Department established 2 battalions on the island, they were not considered part of the regular U.S. Army. They were just considered as protection of their territory. The territory was Puerto Rico, and were not really part or considered part of the regular army. Okay, now the officers of the regiment, now renamed again, like I said, Puerto Rico Regiment of Infantry, now United States Army. So now it was renamed again, the Puerto Rico Regiment of Infantry, and then the United States Army. So now the officers of the regiment enjoy privileges of other officers of corresponding grade in the Army. In other words, now they got paid the same, now they can advance in rank, and so they had the same privileges. In the past, being that they weren't really part of the regular Army of the United States, they were separate, they didn't enjoy the same privileges, which was messed up as far as I'm concerned. Now, because of these changes, the Puerto Rican started advancing in rank for the first time. In May 1909, Father John Rivera, I guess a priest, became the first Puerto Rican to be accepted as an Army chaplain. So that is the beginning of the Puerto Ricans in the military, how it was formed, why it was formed, and originally was not part of the regular Army, but then later they made them part of the Department of Defense, part of the regular Army. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about the 65th Infantry Regiment, how it was formed, and their participation, what exactly they did during World War I. Now, bear in mind, during that time frame, the 65th Infantry Regiment was not called the Borinqueneers. That did not take place until when they were en route to Korea, where they nicknamed themselves the Borinqueneers. So stay tuned for the next video, folks. Thank you for your time and listening. Please like and subscribe. God bless. And I hope that you got educated on this. I sure did, doing the research. And thank you for your time and listening to the history of the Puerto Ricans in the military. Goodbye.